Hey, what's going on, y'all? Big Sarge here. Welcome to another edition of Texas Tailgate Talk right here at the Methodist Training Center, home of the Houston Texans. Day 2 of Houston Texans training camp has concluded, and I got guests, and I think y'all gonna like them. Some oldies but goodies, and if you've been following Big Sarge Sports for, at least since last season, I'm gonna say this: they're back for the first time.
Drum rolls, please.
All right, right now. Hey, listen. Weren't y'all the first guest last year on the initial? Wait, is that right? Should I say initial? The first one. I don't know what to say. The first show, the first Texas Tailgate Talk right here at the Methodist Training Center, home of the Houston Texans.
Yes, sir. I think so.
You all, the Locked On Texans host, Coty M. Davis. John, wait, can I call you some sports guy? I never get to say some sports guy, Hickman.
You never do.
I don't. But John Hickman.
I turn it around and get that sun out of my face.
Hey man, I'm recording, so this is I'm not editing.
Fine.
I'm not editing either. So
you're
hey,
good.
listen, thank you all for coming back for season 2, being the first guest in season 2.
All
Right, day 2, Houston Texans training camp. We're gonna start with you, John. What did you see?
Not a lot.
Yeah.
Not a lot. How they run their training camp and their practices is kind of shielded a little bit, and they were on the opposite side of the field. I will say a takeaway of mine was just seeing Coach Danny Bear, who's done it since Dameon Pierce got here, just continually coaching him up and giving him that coaching confidence. And I do like that. I am expecting a bounce back here from Dameon Pierce. And it's always the small things for me. And I would say in the post-press conferences between D'Amico, Joe Mixon, and Danielle Hunter, we heard all of them kind of give a lot of praise to, and Tank Dell, a lot of praise to Bobby Slork and their expectations of him to get everybody involved on an offense that features Diggs, Tank, who's coming back, Nico just got paid, Joe Mixon added, Dalton Schultz coming back, you drafted Cave Stover, Brevin Jordan still on this roster, John Mechie. They got a lot of pieces. So I think it is a lot of responsibility on Bobby Slork, but it doesn't sound like they lack confidence in him to get it done. So that's my biggest takeaway from today.
What about you, Coty? You've been out here 2 days.
I got 2 takeaways. One, I like the camaraderie that the Texans are building, especially more so in that receiver room. In Sarge, you remember this. I think it was on mandatory minicamp when we first had an opportunity to talk to Stephon Diggs. And the one thing I love, it might have been your question, he was talking about how he can't wait to share everything that he learned throughout his 9-10 year career with the young guys. And over these first 2 days, man, I've loved, like, every time, if they're not on the field doing anything, he always have, like, a group of the receivers. And sometimes it's not even a receiver. It could be one of the DBs. It could be, like, one of his other teammates. He's always talking to them and coaching them up and stuff. And I like that because one thing I've always said, especially covering 2 rebuilds here in the city of Houston, both with the Texans and the other one with the Rockets, is the fact that you need those veterans to help your young guys, no matter how talented they are, and you can tell that they actually want to learn from somebody like Stephon Diggs. And, of course, they're going to get all the teachings and the learnings and the lessons from D'Amico and the coordinators and everybody else on the coaching staff, but to have a peer, especially a peer that I think Nico Collins said it best. Like, I remember watching him in Minnesota when I was in middle school.
Yeah.
Knowing that he's already came here and got the respect from all of the young guys and they're listening to him. Man, it says a lot about how close this team is going to be, and even how much better, because they're going to utilize the lessons that he's instilling in them. And my second favorite thing to go to the offensive line is, I think Titus Howard is back. I truly do believe Titus Howard is back. Earlier today I had an opportunity to talk to Danielle Hunter and ask him through these first 2 days. He's the offensive lineman. He still won't let it go. But I asked Danielle Hunter, how many times he had an opportunity to, go up against Titus Howard, and he said, he went against him, a couple times so far. He said, he's loved the fact that, how quick he's been, how strong he's been. And I love that because it showcased that Titus, I think he said the words he used, like his upper strength. That is something that Titus Howard has definitely worked on throughout the offseason, especially since he's been out since, I think.
It's one of my observations as well.
Yeah, since November, since he went down. Yeah, and I think, Sarge, I think you actually pointed it out how when those two had the one-on-one meet, you was talking about, he's holding his own against Danielle Hunter.
Yeah.
And I wanted to point that out because, a lot of people, for one reason or another, whether, given his struggles when he wasn't at his position, or people are kind of hesitant knowing that he's coming off of not one but two major injuries in 2023. Man, Titus Howard looked damn good, and I can't wait to see what he's going to look like when you put the pads on.
You know what's so crazy, Coty? It's one of those things where Titus, what year is he in? Year 5, year 6?
It's like 6 now.
Year 6, right?
Yeah, it's like 5 or 6.
Yeah, so
6.
I mean, what Titus is battling and what he's going through right now is what he's been battling since he heard his name called in the first round back in 20,
19?
19?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, nobody believed in him then, and now he always has to come back out here. And it's like he always has to prove himself every year.
Mm-hmm.
Every year. When he got the contract extension, there was a lot of people saying, oh, man, I don't think they should have gave him the money. Why not? He's one of the guys that plays every position except center. Yeah. And so he's, even when he had to move to left tackle, and when he gets moved to these positions, he's still able to be competent and good enough to play in that position.
I was one of those guys, honestly. And that was based off of me not
His
having
competition in college?
No. Him getting drafted was okay for me. I thought it should have been.
Don't say the guy that went.
But I mean, coming out, he was the better tackle based off college tape. But I was okay with Howard. The contract extension rolled around, and I thought that was something that I was reluctant against. But I will say that was due to Titus not having a lot of opportunity to get that stability. I never want to see him at left guard again, but I always want to see him at right tackle.
Or left tackle.
Or let me see, I want to see him at tackle. He is a tackle. He is not a guard. But we have Larry Tunsil here in Houston. He solidifies the other side of that offensive line, and then that's when you get the value of Titus Howard. That's when that contract makes sense. One thing I also would add to this from today is just the confidence in this coaching staff. And to Coty's point, man, a couple rebuilds here in Houston. We saw Cully. I never felt like he was confident. Lovie Smith always seemed like he was just trying to get through it at that age that he's in. And we saw a lot of the confidence from D'Amico last year, but he is all smiles. I mean, he has a very infectious smile. And with that, I think that energy carries over to this franchise at the player level. They're going to have a hard time moving on from some of these guys, but I trust his instincts. I trust his intelligence of the game. But the confidence that he's bringing is something like we haven't seen since last year when he first got here. But probably the most confidence I've seen from a coach since 2017.
So real quickly before you two leave, because I know that you all have a meeting that you have to have, a very important meeting, I might add. But, real quickly, I'm going to start with you, Coty. We've been talking about it for the last 2 days. We've been talking about it during rookie minicamp. We've been talking about it through OTAs, mandatory minicamp. Actually, we've been talking about it since the Texans' last game last season against Baltimore in the divisional round of the playoffs. The expectations. Real quickly, what are your expectations? And I know that you all have talked about this on the Locked On Texans podcast, but I need to hear it on the Texans Tailgate Talk right here. The fans need to hear it again. We need you all to reiterate what you all said on, hey, listen, I will say this, y'all got a very, very good podcast, probably the #1 Texans podcast. It seems like I'm pandering because I don't want to seem like I'm pandering. I'm just saying, y'all have done an outstanding job. I told y'all this before. Okay, Coty, your turn.
My expectation, man.
Let's be
I
real.
always say, I'm gonna be real.
Don't give it the professional.
No, I'm not.
Let's talk like we in text on the phone. Be real with our expectations.
And I'm gonna tell you this, before we do this, last night I did a radio hit on Sirius XM, and I said, hey, look, it's AFC Championship game or it's a failure. If they don't get to the AFC Championship, I'm gonna tell you what I said first. I said AFC Championship game or it's a bust. Not only that, if they do and they add just a tad bit more talent next year, they should be Super Bowl favorites.
It's similar to what I'm thinking. Like, when you look at this team, man, and I've said this a lot, like, This is what, the Texans' 22nd season, and we've seen some good teams. You know, you look at the J.J. Watt / Andre Johnson years in like 2012. You got Deshaun, D-Hop and them was like 18, 19. But it's like what me and John always say on Locked On, this is the first time where everything is lined up for this organization. Ownership is on board.
Yeah.
You got the head coach.
Yeah.
You got the coordinators on both sides of the ball. You got the quarterback. You built around the quarterback. The quarterback has
coach,
weapons.
too.
And that's on the offensive side of the ball. On the defensive side of the ball, you got the D-line. You got the linebackers. You got, for the most part, the secondary. But that's only due to the fact that you just need one or two of those DBs to improve. The floor in 2024 for me is AFC Championship game. And the ceiling, they better be holding that trophy in New Orleans. Plain and simple. That's the way I look at it. And I know that's a bold statement to say, but I always go back to this. Yes, this team is still young, but what they were able to accomplish and overcome in 2023, the sky's the limit for this team, including what General Manager Nick Caserio did to improve this team for this upcoming season. I mean, there's times where I look out on that field and I see CJ take the field with Joe Mixon, Dalton Schultz, and your 3 wide receivers, sometimes 4, Diggs, Nico, Tank, and Mechie. I'm like, they're probably going to have the league's best, if not the best, the second best offense.
Falcon teams.
So and that's on offense. Then on defense, I mean, like, just imagine lining up on both sides. You got the Neil freaking Hunter that I'm looking at in the press conference. Like, man, the Neil Hunter is strong. He's one of the guys I would not want to fight.
And he said in the press conference, "Hey, look, all they want me to do is go get the quarterback." It's that look.
And think about it.
That's that J.J. Watt role right there.
That was 16.5 sacks, and now he's coming into a season where I ain't got to do a lot of thinking.
Yes, that's what I was going to get
instinctual.
to. He said he's coming from an offense where he had to think. And the man had 16.5 sacks last year. I think about 75 to 80 for his career. And now they just want him to attack. And that's just him. And on the other side, you got Will Anderson Jr., who is just as important as the guy that was number 7.
And just as competitive going against Daniil. Because if Daniil if Daniil has 10 sacks, then, I mean, we keeping it 100. If Daniil has 10 sacks, Will wants to have 12.
Yeah.
Because he's that competitive to where he's like, hey, look, this is what I have to do. And before you go, John, I'm going to say this real quickly. This is the most talented. And Coty, I think you've heard me say this before. I think I've said this on numerous occasions. This is the most talent that the Houston Texans have ever had on both sides of the ball since the franchise has existed.
I agree.
And with that being said, to Cody's point, to that point, not only on the field, but I think it takes talent. You got to be talented to be a coordinator. You got to be talented to be a positional coach. You got to be talented to be a head coach. I'm sorry, Bobby Slug, I'm taking him 10 times in a day over Tim Kelly. Was it Gessie 1 year?
Bill O'Brien.
So like they got it lined up. But are there some question marks? Yeah, I mean, we saw Nico Collins, and he's a vet. Just got his money career year with CJ. We saw him put rookie Kamari Lassen in the blender today, right? There are some concerns, I think, with the secondary, rightfully so. You got some journeymen at cornerback. You got a rookie at cornerback. But the pressure that I think this team is going to cause up front, quarterbacks are going to have 2 seconds to get their ball out on some of those occasions. And I think you're going to have a defense that's going to be able to capitalize off that to create turnovers, to help with field position, to help this offense out not have to go the distance a lot of times. What I do want to point out, last offseason, Big Sarge, Brian Badfield of Big Sarge Media, came on our show, Locked On Texans. LLC. I'm sorry. Lady Love Chocolate. But came on our show and said he believes Will Anderson can be better than J.J. Watt. This is Will Anderson's sophomore year. We saw what J.J. Watt did in his sophomore year. Do I think that Will Anderson is going to get 20 sacks? No. But this is according to you, on the other side of the camera, this is a big year for him. And I also think he's going to benefit so much because who are you game planning for the most? If I'm an offensive coordinator, Hunter or Will Anderson?
Hunter.
He's going to have a lot of odd matchups out there for Will Anderson. And what I like about Will Anderson the most, he's going to get after the quarterback, but he's going to almost curse. He's going to mess up a run game.
Yeah.
So, do I think he's going to get 20? No. But do I think we're going to see, like, him just cause havoc and teams are going to avoid running his way? I think by the end of the year
And and I'll say this real quickly. You also have year 2 of Will Anderson playing with his hand in the dirt. Remember last year?
Yeah, that's right.
That was an adjustment.
Right. That was his first time playing with his hand in the dirt, and he was still effective because that's just who he is as a player. Now, with Hunter on the opposite side of him, no, he may not get 20 sacks. You know, I can't say I do believe that he's going to get double digits in sacks, but with Hunter on the other side of him, no.
It's possible. Robert Mathis and Dwight Freeney did it.
What I will say is this. Is that what quarterbacks who like to run, and I think that they play 2 or 3 of quarterbacks they get because they got to play. I know that they play.
Boys.
They play Bills, right?
Yeah.
They play Buffalo.
Anthony Richardson, you got that
twice.
Yeah.
If he healthy.
And so you got those quarterbacks. The problem is that what you're going to have to do is, once again, pick your poison. Because if you run away from Danielle Hunter, you're not going to run away from Will. He will catch you.
And
like
then,
people underestimate it. Yeah, people underestimate his speed. Okay, so you try to run. I'll never forget last season after the playoff game. One of the things that Lamar Jackson said about Will Hunter is that he didn't realize he was that fast.
Will Hunter.
I mean, when I say Will Hunter,
Will Hunter. You did it again. Didn't you do it yesterday?
I didn't do it yesterday.
I thought you did.
I may have though, but Will Anderson Jr. I mean, you might as well say Will Hunter.
Somebody gonna take that and use it
Right.
at some point.
Like on Dragon Ball when they fuse.
Right. But with Will Anderson Jr. though, Lamar Jackson said he didn't realize he was that fast. He's like, because I was trying to get away from him, and he was still there. And think about this, Will was hurt. Will was hurt.
Angles too, man.
And so he's coming in, like I said, second year with his hand in the dirt, second year of being able to be in this offense. And the one thing that I like about him that makes him different from J.J. Watt, and this ain't a hot take because y'all have seen it.
We've seen it.
You can move Will to any side of the ball. Now, to be fair, J.J. can move from
Inside.
defensive end to defensive tackle. I don't think that Will can do that, although I did see it last season when they had him and Grenard playing on the same side sometimes. They used him at D tackle sometimes, but he's not used to playing that. But Will, if you're trying to match up, if Will is your matchup, right? If you're offense coordinator and Will is your key, you have to think, all right, so what side of the ball is he going to be lined up on, though? That's the thing that I love about what Matt Burke and D'Amico Ryans has done. Hey, fellas, y'all got to get up out here. Tell them where they can find y'all at. Because we could be out here talking all day.
I know. We about the whole podcast.
Yeah.
You can follow me, Coty M. Davis. You can follow me on Twitter at CotyDavis_24. Please be sure to check out the Locked On Texans podcast on all your favorite podcast streaming services.
John_Hickman 12. I talk Texans, sports, music, food. I do it all, man.
Hey, look, hold on. I'm going to come on this side of the camera now. Hey, can y'all see me? Let me get right here. Let me get right here, right?
Happy and we
Let me get right here. Now, I ain't going to even look at the camera. I'm looking at y'all. Hey, you know what I'm saying? I'm ready to fight both of y'all.
Why?
Because what is the beef with Boys to Men, bro? Both of y'all got beef with Boys to Men. What's up, man? What's
they
up?
got one good song, and that's Water Run Dry.
They don't have one good song, but I will say this: if you had a long day and you have insomnia, put Boys to Men on. You go right to sleep.
Well, hey, look. I tell you what. If I'm high off drugs and drunk, and then I want to hear, ooh yeah, ooh yeah, ooh yeah, ooh yeah.
You know what? That sounds like my party.
Or I can throw on a little Bobby Brown.
I mean, hey.
Hey, man, listen. What did I always say? Listen, I will give you, and I've always said this, New Edition is better than Boys to Men because of Michael Bivins. Right?
New Edition is the second greatest boys group.
Jodeci is not better than Boys to Men.
You can make the argument that New Edition might be the best, and that's including any group.
I got Jackson 5 number 1.
You know how I feel about Michael and them.
How can you say Jackson 5 when Tito was 50?
Well, that's because they actually have the definition of a GOAT. Once you drop that, it's over.
I can't even
It's over.
I got Jackson 5.
Hey, this is Tito in the group.
Don't matter.
Tito, right? Tito, right?
Hey, yeah, you said all that about
What
Tito.
about the heartbeats?
It was-
The heartbeats, the temptation.
It was Tito in the group like
You
this.
talk about
It's like,
Tito.
Tito is 6'5", 34
People
years
always
old
talk about
with the
Tito.
little kids. How old was Michael Jackson when the Jackson 5 came out?
They were like 10.
And how old
with
was
no
Tito?
time. Tito's already like, I
Talking
tell
about-
listen to people all the time that
Tito-
disrespect Tito. If Tito never brings Papa Jackson guitar, we don't have a Jackson.
I would like to thank the Locked On Texans guys, Coty M. Davis and John Hickman, for coming on the Texas Tailgate Talk right here, day 2 at the Methodist Training Center, home of the Houston Texans. Make sure you are subscribed to their podcast, available wherever you get your podcast from, at the Locked On Texans podcast, and make sure you follow them on their social medias. All right, I got to get up out of here. I got to get ready and do some articles and put some things out on BigSargeMedia.com. Make sure you'll follow me on the socials at Big Sarge Sports with a Z at the end on the app formerly known as Twitter, and on IG at Big Sarge Sports with a Z at the end. Follow me on the Tick and the Talk at Big Sarge Media. Subscribe to my YouTube channel at Big Sarge Media. Day 3 ahead. It's going to be very interesting. I'm out.